My mom has a friend named Paula Yu who is a young adult fiction author, and she had heard a lot of buzz about this one manuscript that people were losing their minds about because of its cultural relevance, because of the characters, the story, because of the heart of it and everything. And so my mom actually got her hands on an unpublished version of the book. And when I read it, I lost my mind. I was like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this before. The way that this black girl is characterized with so much heart and depth and nuance. Her experiences are really tragic, but they're so relevant. She has the experience of code switching, which is something that I feel like all black people have to do nowadays, and it's really cool to see it being addressed, I feel like, for the first time in media. Because she goes to this white private school filled with very privileged kids who don't spend a lot of time around people of color, but she's grown up in the hood with her black family. And so she's constantly navigating, having to almost split herself into two parts in order to fit into both worlds. And that was something I really related to, just because I grew up in a lower income black community and I went to a white private school. I think we're really champions for each other at this point. It's like, it feels really, really special because I look up to her so much, and she's been so supportive of me this entire time and has given me so much affirmation and so much love. The Hate U Give is about a girl named Starr Carter, but it's also about her family and her community and what it's like to traverse the world as a contemporary black American. It opens up on Starr and you get to know her and her different worlds that she lives in, her lower income black community and her white private school, and the code switching that she has to do in order to fit into those environments. But that's all challenged when this really tragic event happens. She goes to a party with her friend that she's been friends with since childhood, and when he's driving her home, they get pulled over for a traffic stop, and a white cop makes the assumption that her brush is a gun, and he shoots and kills her friend. And it challenges her whole life, it challenges her whole perspective, it challenges her identity, as she has to figure out if she has the strength to speak up for him and what she believes in. She is brave. I think she's funny. I think she's fresh. She has really cool style. She's into really cool things, and more than anything, she cares. Her heart is really big, and she contemplates with a lot of depth how she feels about things. And it might take her time to reach a place of strength and a place where she feels comfortable to use her voice, but it's because she thinks really deeply about her actions, and her number one priorities are her family and her friends and her community. I just love how as she gets more comfortable in herself, you start to see her quirks and her mannerisms and everything become more apparent because she doesn't feel like she needs to hide them anymore. And I think she's really strong. The Carter family has a lot of different dynamics going on and challenges that they face. But what remains through all of that is the deepest sense of love, of friendship, of strength found in each other, of joy. And I think it's so important that we get to see that on screen. I think Starr is a lot like her dad. I think she is inspired by him in so many different ways, whether it's her political ideologies, which she's inherited from him. She grew up being made to recite the Black Panther 10 Points program and being taught about Malcolm X and Huey Newton and Martin Luther King. And so she has grown up with this stable pillar of understanding who she is in the historical context of America and being Black and what she believes in. And when she has nowhere else to go, that's what she resorts to, and that's what she has supporting her as a backing. And so I think you see Starr throughout the film and throughout the book become more like her dad. They have a classic father-daughter relationship where he's really protective over her. She's his baby girl, you know, and so he's willing to do anything to protect her. Russell Hornsby plays Mav, and I think we had a really similar dynamic to Starr and Mav. He had great expectations for me, but was always willing to lend his support and his strength through his belief in me. I've been a long-term fan, and so it was amazing to have her on set. I mean, she's hilarious. She has a huge heart. She was so excited to be there and did a really fantastic job in the role. It was dope. It was like a dream come true. Carlos is a really nuanced character. I think it was really important for Angie to put a character like him into the book because she wanted to explore the nuance of police brutality. She didn't want the book to dramatize our political events in any way that felt like it was pointing fingers or putting it in terms of right and wrong, because that's not how the world works. You know, there's a million different factors at play, a million different biases and assumptions and prejudices and structures. And so Angie wanted to make sure that she had a nuanced experience represented in Carlos, who is a Black cop. Carlos is played by Common, who is an angel. I feel like anything you would assume Common to be, like positive aspects of him, he is. Like, I can confirm. He's so sweet. He showed up to set with pressed juice for everyone. Thug Life stands for the hate you give little infants, F's everybody. And that's what it stood for. Pac had it tattooed on his body. What it basically means is the bias, the prejudice, the hate, the racism that you throw towards babies screws everyone over. So when you put a child in an institution that is against them, it affects everyone in a really gruesome way. This film was directed by George Tillman. George is like an uncle to me at this point. I feel so proud to just have witnessed his entire process from beginning to end and see how much he dedicated his whole mind, heart, soul, body to the project. He did so much hard work in terms of formulating different systems to explore the film in, and whether that comes to characterization or plot or tone or theme or shots, whatever it was, he did so much work from the jump in assuring that it was all how he intended it to be, and that most importantly it maintained the authenticity and the soul of the book. And he did it even when he was tired. Even when he was tired, he had a smile on his face. Even when he was worn down, he was still giving me a pat on the back and giving me a hug and assuring me. He had so much love in his heart the whole time, and I think that's what translates the most in the movie, is you get the sense that whoever made this put their whole soul into it, and I feel like you can really feel that. And I think he did some really visionary stuff too, and some really inventive stuff, and he had an open mind and was always receptive to other people's ideas and never had any ego take place of where there could potentially be a creative possibility.